But one of the things I learned from your work is that that last hour is potentially the most important hour of me being in bed. And in part, that's because I learned that the further we go in sleep, the more REM we're getting. Can you explain that to me with these 4 blocks? Why that last hour is particularly important and why we shouldn't be jumping out of bed at the end of that last hour of REM?
Absolutely. So here we have the 4 blocks of sleep. When we first fall asleep, we go into light, non-rapid eye movement sleep, stage 1. This is the stage of sleep that if I wake you up out of it, you say, I wasn't sleeping. It's just that you're just in that transitional phase, this beautiful liminal state between the windows of wakefulness and true sleep. This is your bridge between the waking world and the sleep world. It doesn't last for very long, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes. Then you get into the workhorse of sleep, stage 2 non-REM sleep. 50% of your night is spent in stage 2 non-REM sleep. We do a lot of cognitive processing in stage 2 non-REM sleep. It's good stuff. So we have fallen asleep 10 minutes. Now we're in stage 2 non-REM sleep. We'll stay there for about 15 or 20 minutes. Then, if it's in the first couple of hours of the night, we go down into the very deepest stages of deep non-REM sleep. This is where the brainwave patterns slow down, but the brainwaves become incredibly big, huge, big, powerful, slow brainwaves. This is where you get an enormous amount of restoration, recovery of many of your major physiological systems. Physical recovery, but mental too.
Yeah.
It's during deep sleep that you take newly minted memories that you've learned and you hit the save button on those memories. Deep sleep essentially is going to future-proof the information that you just learned today. It transfers information from a short-term storage vulnerable reservoir to a more permanent long-term storage site. So we've gone from light non-REM, then we go down into deep non-REM. We'll stay there for about 15 or 20 minutes. Then we'll start to rise back up again into stage 2 non-REM sleep. And after about 70, 80 minutes, you're going to pop up and you'll have a short REM sleep period. So we go down into non-REM sleep and then up into REM sleep every 90 minutes. What changes, however, is the ratio of non-REM to REM within those 90-minute cycles as you move across the night. In the first half of the night, the majority of those 90-minute cycles are comprised of lots of deep non-REM sleep and very little REM sleep. But as you push through to the second half of the night, now that seesaw balance shifts over and you spend much more of your time in REM sleep in the second half of the night, and particularly in the last 2 hours of the night. Why is this consequential? Let's say that I normally go to bed at midnight to make the math easy, and I wake up at 8. But tomorrow I've got to catch my flight back home. So I'm going to wake up 2 hours early, 6 rather than 8. I've lost 2 hours of sleep. So how much total sleep have I lost? Well, I've lost 25% of my total sleep, 2 hours of my 8 hours. But I may have lost 50, 60, 70% of all of my REM sleep. Why? Because REM sleep comes in the second half, and particularly those last couple of hours of sleep. If people said, how can I get more REM sleep? I would say just sleep 15 minutes later into the day than you normally would do. And you will disproportionately bias yourself towards getting significantly more REM sleep.